If you've worked with me before, you're probably familiar with an activity that I often kick off a workshop or a keynote with. Here's how it goes. And you have to play along at home, whether you're sitting down or standing up, it'll work. I got to back up a little bit and I'm going to show you a few patterns and then you repeat them. Okay. So the right arm, pretty straightforward. It's just one, two, three, four, five, six. So just up and down. Do that with me. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, I think you got that. I'm going to step it up a little bit with the left arm. It goes one, two, three, four, five, six. So up, out, and down. Do that with me. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, very good. Right arm. One more time. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, left arm. You can do it. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, you may know where I'm going here. Now we got to do them together. All right, you've got this. Here we go. One, two, three, four, five, six. Your arm should be down. I'm sure that you mastered that. Regardless of how easy or how difficult that was, why would we do that activity? Well, I often do this just to remind us how much easier it is just to pick a side. You know, you can be given some information or a challenge and you can run with it no problem. I can change it up. You can change, you can adapt. But the moment that you have to all of a sudden kind of do two things simultaneously, especially when it almost feels like those two things are in conflict or opposition with one another, that's a lot harder. That's when we kind of wish that we could just pick a side again. And what's interesting, outside of simple coordination activities, we live in a world that loves to pick sides. Whether it's about our politics or our social issues, our views regarding wars or pandemics, at work as well. How we feel about the new change that's being implemented, you know, our views on whether we should be working all together in the office or remotely from home. We like to kind of pick our side. And then what happens is it's kind of human nature to find people on our side and be affirmed in how right we are. What makes this even worse is that in our culture, we now have algorithms and social media 24/7 news channels that really are working hard to provide us information to kind of affirm our point of view. So, what happens is we live in a world that picks a side in almost every situation. Now, I want to be clear. There's lots of situations that picking a side is okay. It's not just okay, it's important. There are situations where things are right or wrong. There are policies and procedures that we need to kind of choose and opt towards the right option because it's the safe thing to do. There are formulas and models, which means if we just kind of pick the right answer, we're right. Here's the thing: as much as there's situations where we can pick a side, leadership is often more complex than that. It was interesting. Obama was interviewed by Rolling Stone magazine early into his first term. And a quote that stood out in the interview, he said, "The issues now that cross my desk are hard and complicated, often involving not the clash of right and wrong, but of two rights. And you're having to balance and reconcile against competing values that are equally legitimate." I think what he was getting at is something that you all probably experience every day. The more you try to lead, the more you try to move things forward, the less you find yourself dealing with just simple problems to solve where you can just pick one answer and you're good to go. No, what you find is that you're now dealing with a much more complex situation. You're dealing with situations that, aren't just right and wrong, they're right and right. Think about it. Constantly in our organizations, we're embracing change and innovation, trying to be relevant and ahead of the competition. But at the same time, we got to hold on to stability. We got to make sure we're not losing what we're known for. We got to embrace change and hold on to stability in how we communicate. If you're going to be honest and trustworthy and give and receive feedback, you need to be truthful and challenging and say what you feel. But that's not an excuse for shutting people down. or kind of being disrespectful. You also have to be tactful and diplomatic. Effective communication isn't truth or tact, it's truth and tact. And think about even your life as a whole. On one hand, you want to thrive at work, really deliver and exceed expectations, but not to the neglect of your obligations and opportunities at home. Your life is constantly navigating this kind of tension or this wrestling match between work and home. And if you just pick one side and you neglect the other, everything falls apart long term. There's a great quote by F. Scott Fitzgerald. He says, the test of first rate intelligence, I would argue the test of real leadership, is the ability to hold opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still function. And, I think he was onto something. We live in a polarized and divided world. We often work in very divisive and polarized workplaces where, we've got our people and our points of view, the ability to actually hold different perspectives in tension and recognize there's truth on both sides. It's becoming a lost art. And it's also becoming a leadership superpower. So the next time you are dealing with a situation that's being framed as an either or, but that there's more to it than that, just pause and think, how can I tap into the genius of the and? How can I tap into the power of healthy tension? And when you do that, you have a huge leadership competitive edge.